Well, you must be wondering what those visuals are. Well, stay with Newsfirst Prime Time News as we bring you all those details later on. Very good evening and welcome to Prime Time News. We're coming to you live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. As you can see, there's much hustle and bustle taking place behind us. That's because our reporters and cameramen are doing all that they can to bring you the latest news from here at home and across the world. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Water levels of many reservoirs record its lowest after 14 years. Newsfirst.lk bags 2 awards at the Best Web.lk competition. Air Algeria AH5017 crashes in Niger with 110 passengers and 6 crew. Her Majesty the Queen declares open the Commonwealth Games 2014.
Now, after a lapse of 14 years, tanks and reservoirs that come under the purview of the Irrigation Department have recorded their lowest water capacity levels. News First, Katharina Chang is standing by with a comprehensive update from the rooftop of the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. Kathy?
Well, thank you very much, guys. What you're witnessing behind me are several buildings in Colombo. And now the dry and hot weather conditions have been affecting many parts of the island. However, we do not see this effect in Colombo, but it is moving towards that direction. Now, the director of the Water Management Division of the Irrigation Department, Janaki Miga Stander, stated that the water capacity of 72 tanks and reservoirs that come under the purview of the Irrigation Department have dropped by a significant 18%.
The Irrigation Department stated that the residents of a number of districts are currently facing the worst water crisis in 14 years. The districts of Ampara, Trincomalee, Monragala and Hambantota are facing the brunt of the effects caused due to this crisis.
A drastic decrease can be witnessed in the Ampara, Monragala, Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. Although the Senanayaka Samudra has a capacity of 770,000 acre-feet, it currently holds only 60,000 acre-feet of water. Water is being released for agricultural purposes. Batikalo is the only district where harvests are being reaped. We are releasing water to every other district.
This is the manner in which the water levels of the DS Senanayaka Samudra in Inginiagala has seen a sharp decrease. Thereby, water is being released for settlements under a quota system.
Our water levels will fall very low by the 15th of September. It may fall to around 15,000 to 20,000 acre-feet. If this area does not receive rains by September, we will face a water crisis.
If this lake runs dry, then we won't have water to drink. We use this water for other purposes as well.
Area residents of Hambantota have been affected as a result of the water levels of the Veeravilla tank, the Lunugambahira reservoir, Tisababa and Yodababa decreasing. The extreme weather condition in Polonnaruwa has caused the water levels of the Parakrama Samudra, Giritale, Minneria and Kaudula tanks to decrease. The Parakrama Samudra, which has a capacity of 110,000 acre-feet, overflowed in December last year. However, the water capacity has dropped to around 48,800 acre-feet. The extreme weather conditions has affected 40,585 families and 127,916 individuals in the Polonnaruwa district. District Secretary Nima Labesinghe notes that there is a need for water tanks to combat the water crisis in the area. The water levels in the Muthukandiyana reservoir, which provide water for the people of Monragala district, has also decreased.
මේ නියගයේ තියෙන වෙලාවේ වැව් ගැඹුරු කිරීම ඒ වගේම
A large sum of money has been allocated to expand the tanks and for the urgent renovation work. A program has also been implemented to assign people to assist in this program through a Shramadana campaign. Moreover, a sum of 1.5 billion rupees has been allocated by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Disaster Management to provide drinking water and other relief via district secretaries. We have issued instructions to provide relief and make the necessary renovations within a span of 3 months.
දියත් කරන්න අවශ්‍ය උපදෙස් දැනටමත් නිකුත් කරලා තිබෙනවා.
A number of ships carrying crude oil were unable to unload their oil shipments over the past few weeks due to a rupture in an oil pipeline. This issue was taken up in Parliament today and attention was focused on the demurrage charges that should be paid to these vessels.
පසුගිය මැයි 20 වෙනි දින බොරතෙල් මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් 90000ක් රැගෙන
The City Elite ship, which docked at the Colombo harbour on the 20th of May with 90,000 metric tons of crude oil, began unloading its fuel. It was then that the pipeline connected to the buoy ruptured and unloading of fuel was stopped on the 23rd of May. From the 24th of June, we have been paying $23,000 on a daily basis as demurrage charges. That amounts to around 3. Without inquiring from this ship, the CPC hires a ship by the name of Argos, which can store 40,000 metric tons of oil. However, the City Elite vessel refused to unload this ship. As a result, we are paying millions for this ship, which is docked at the Colombo harbour. We have been forced to pay demurrage charges to 4 ships carrying crude oil, 2 ships carrying petrol and diesel, as well as 1 storage ship. They receive a cut from this, from the fuel as well as the contract to hire the ship. All this burden is then placed on the people.
Two out
of the 3 vessels carrying crude oil have finished unloading. We have the capacity to store the contents of roughly around 2 crude oil ships. Since the refinery did not function for a month and since we were unable to fix the pipeline very soon, our storage capacity has maxed out. We have not paid any demurrage charges to the delays caused to the crude oil ships. They have not asked for it either. The Argos ship was hired based on the consensus of both companies and the City Elite vessel. Later, a legal dispute arose between the owners of the City Elite vessel and the oil supplier, and that is why they were unable to unload.
For years, Newsfirst has always been in the forefront on bringing you the latest details of breaking news that takes place not only in Sri Lanka but across the world, Madhushka. And incidentally, Newsfirst received another accolade and recognition for the work it has done. And the motto, your life, our news, is what we stand by. And therefore, the recognition really matters because it's a recognition for the people.
Yes, that's right. Our team put so much effort into the stories that they publish, not only on Facebook, but more recently on Twitter as well. But for more on this, we're going to come now for Katharina Chang. She has the details.
Well, thank you, Madhushka. Well, our website, newsfirst.lk, bagged 2 awards at the 2014 Best Sri Lankan Website Competition, bestweb.lk. Newsfirst.lk won the Silver Award for the Best Media Website and the Bronze Award for Best Tamil Website.
Awards were presented to a number of websites with the domain .lk under various categories. The winners of the competition were judged based on a public voting system.
And we have 9 different categories, and within those 9 categories we have 3 ways of selecting them. One is from the votes of the public, 2 by the number of visits to the website, but most importantly from the judges' evaluation of each and every single website. So of course, when you give points for all the different categories, so we look at many different things. Technical, how good the website is, the content, how much content is there, aesthetically, creatively, how good it is, how easy to use, are people able to use it and effectively use it, is it useful? So we look at all of these and we give points.
This is incidentally the second time that Newsfirst.lk bagged the Silver Award. Over the years, Newsfirst has become the premier trilingual video-based news website in Sri Lanka.
Newsfirst commenced its first news website on the 10th of October 2007 and the Sinhala, the English and Tamil language websites were launched in 2009. Newsfirst.lk, which brings you the latest in local, international and sports news, won the Silver Award in 2010 as well.
Newsfirst on this digital platform, I think Newsfirst has been doing some fantastic work on digital platform. Newsfirst is now available as a website. Newsfirst has a smartphone app. Newsfirst has got an Android app. Newsfirst also has a more than just an app. They also have a mobile phone specific website. They are very, very, very active on YouTube. Newsfirst has done it in such a way that I could do the research and I could access that footage, and then I could be informed and still write the paper I'm writing, or the research I'm working on, or the campaign I'm working on, or whatever it is. Newsfirst gives me that access, which is amazing. But this specific award is from an institution that is profound. Newsfirst to receive this award from an outstanding institution such as University of Moratuwa, and that confirms that Newsfirst is doing a fantastic job. Obviously there is room to learn, there is room to develop, we should become better than what we are now, but winning this award itself is a fantastic achievement.
Last year, Newsfirst.lk was relaunched with a totally new and revamped website, focusing mainly on delivering video content. Newsfirst has become a trusted source in cyberspace, as you, our loyal viewers, have flocked around it.
Newsfirst is Sri Lanka's first ever news international brand because of you. We thank you, our viewers, for placing our trust in us. Newsfirst is your life, our news. Over to you, Madhishka and Mahina.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that if the country is incapable of raising a healthy future generation, then it would amount to injustice done to the nation. The president made this statement at an event held in Thirappane Mahanama College this morning.
The opening ceremony of the Poshanayai Suvadiviyai program was held under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The main objective of this program is to raise healthy and clever children.
If we are raising a generation of children who are weak, I see this as an injustice done to our nation. Some say that it is the responsibility of the parents to provide children nutritious meals. What we see now is that it is not only the responsibility of the parents, but assistance must also be given by the teachers and the government to raise healthy children.
The Mahindodaya Technological Lab of the Thirappane Mahanama College in Anuradhapura was visited to the students by the President.
31 years have passed since the horrifying events of Black July, and many of those who spoke at events to commemorate the event, they reiterated that such a situation should never occur again. Here are some of the views expressed yesterday on Black July.
This is the biggest tragedy in the 20th century. People were massacred, properties of individuals were taken away, and the country was engulfed in violence. Sri Lanka has been unable to erase this black mark from its history. We have to make a vow today. We have to ensure that actions will not be taken to tarnish the relationship between different ethnicities in the island. We have to recollect the incidents that unfolded during Black July. This is because if we are to ensure that we don't slide back to events of that nature in the past, we have to remember what happened on that day. Brain drain took place as a result of Black July. Intelligent people left the country. We can suppress extremism that is trying to raise its head when we recollect the events that unfolded during Black July. Racism is healthy for politics. Politicians use this as a tool to sweep under the carpet the grieving issues faced by the public. People subsequently talk about this and not the economic issues faced by them. This is exactly what happened during 1983. Black July was experienced in 1983. Even following the end of the war, there are issues that crop up surrounding the events in 1983. When you're trying to forget the past, in June this year, there was a Black June. Violence is still rampant in the island today.
When the views of politicians on Black July were aired earlier today on our sister channel Sirasa TV on the primetime news bulletin at 7 p.m, the president of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Attorney-at-Law Upul Jayasuriya, shared these views on the horrifying events of 1983.
I witnessed the footage that you aired on what happened in July 1983. We are aware that this happened around 30 years ago. It was a dark and tragic incident that brought disrepute to the country. When this happened 31 years ago, the world was a different place. We have moved 30 years ahead. Is someone attempting to take us back to that era again? How can incidents like the ones which transpired in Alugama and Dargatown take place when the police and the armed STF were looking on? Business establishments were set ablaze, yet the areas were cleared even before the investigations were completed. Under whose orders were they done? The rule of law has collapsed. Are we going back to that era? If this is the miracle that is being brought about, then we have questions about the future.
Welcome back to the news. Well, there's just a few more months before the Provincial Council elections and the political stage is heating up. One of the topics that are being discussed these days on the political stage is the development of the nation.
You have high expectations from us. You wish to see development in your villages. You wish to lead a better life than you do today. We are capable of doing it. The opposition also knows it.
Not a single party was able to bring about development that will meet your needs. Is it because of your fault? Did the Uva province become the poorest province because of your fault? You still use steel sheets for your roof. What has this government done? What have they done? They have done nothing for you.
Our children do not dress like we used to. Girls in our villages also go to salons. They spend about 2,000 rupees for that. Look at how roads are constructed in the estates. Look at how this country is being developed. Do you not realize it? Let us move ahead. We are developing faster than Singapore.
When the minister gets the taste of his role, he wants to pass it down to his next generation. The minister wants to get his son, daughter-in-law and even the son-in-law to follow this path. The Provincial Council is the training centre to learn corruption and how to seek commissions. Who will pay for these sins? The people will have to pay for their sins.
I am the one who constructed the first elevator in the Monragala district. I am the person who provided buildings and teachers for small schools. I was number 1 and the JVP came in later. In 5th was another SLFPR. If I did not contest, what would have been the reputation of the SLFP?
Well, tonight on our segment Before the Ballot, we visit a village that borders the Yala National Park.
In a backdrop where political parties as well as candidates are preparing for the Uva Provincial Council election, Newsfirst visited the Monragala district to direct the attention of the authorities to the issues and hardships faced by those living in these rural areas.
The Ittaya Kato village borders the Yala National Park. One of the biggest issues faced by these locals is the lack of a regional hospital to seek medication. Villagers claim that a number of surrounding villages have also been affected due to this. They point out that they have to undertake a difficult journey just to reach the Monragala base hospital to seek medical attention.
17 or 20 kilometers is not a small distance. In the event a small child falls ill, isn't there even a dispensary close by for medical assistance?
සාමාන්‍ය වීල් එකට කීයක් ගන්නවද?
වීල් එකට ගන්නවා 1500ක් විතර ගන්නවා.
1500ක්. හදිසියෙ ලෙඩක් ඇදුනන් පස්සේ
We go to take medication after borrowing money. If you consider the cost for the vehicle and the distance, this affects us a lot.
දුරපස්නේත් එක බලනකොට ලොකු අපහසුතාවයකටපත් වෙනවා ඉතින්.
This village is a 20-kilometer drive from the Monragala town and only 2 private buses operate on this route. This road to access this village falls across the Tenagallandu tank bund, making it difficult for state transportation to reach the village. Tomorrow, we visit the villages of Itek Katua.
In news just in, the Ukraine cabinet has resigned. Now this announcement was made by the Ukrainian Prime Minister a short while ago. Here's a news item once again. The Ukraine cabinet has resigned. It was announced a short while ago by Ukrainian Prime Minister. Stay with Newsfirst, we'll bring you more details on this story. Vasanta?
දැන් ලැබුණු පුවතක් යුක්‍රේන අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ප්‍රමුඛ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය ඉල්ලා සිටී තිබෙනවා. විදේශ මාධ්‍ය වාර්තා කළේ එරට අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා විසින් මීට ටික වේලාවකට පෙර පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී ඒ බව නිවේදනය කළ බවයි යුක්‍රේන අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ප්‍රමුඛ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය ඉල්ලා අස්වී திபෙනවා.
தற்போது கிடைத்த செய்தி ஒன்று, யுக்ரைன் பிரதமர் தலைமையிலான அமைச்சரவை ராஜினாமா செய்துள்ளது. தாமும் தமது அமைச்சரவை ராஜினாமா செய்வதாக யுக்ரைன் பிரதமர் அந்நாட்டு பாராளுமன்றத்தில் அறிவித்துள்ளதாக சர்வதேச தகவல்கள் தெரிவிக்கின்றன. மீண்டும் அந்த செய்தி, யுக்ரைன் பிரதமர் தலைமையிலான அமைச்சரவை ராஜினாமா செய்துள்ளது. தாமும் தமது அமைச்சரவையும் ராஜினாமா செய்வதாக யுக்ரைன் பிரதமர் அந்நாட்டு பாராளுமன்றத்தில் அறிவித்துள்ளதாக சர்வதேச தகவல்கள் தெரிவிக்கின்றன.
Yes, we have more details that's just coming in. Prime Minister of Ukraine, a pro-Western technocrat who has guided the Ukrainian government through the tumultuous months since the ouster of President Viktor F. Yanukovych, resigned abruptly today after the governing coalition of parliament collapsed. Early in the day, 2 major parties announced they were leaving the governing coalition, a step that would allow President Petro Poroshenko to dissolve parliament and call elections for next fall. That's the news coming out from Ukraine. The Ukraine cabinet has resigned. Well, moving back to local news, the Socialist Youth Association launched a leaflet campaign in Gaul today. The leaflets were distributed with the aim of creating unity and promoting cooperation amongst ethnicities. The leaflet campaign began from the Gaul bus stand. The Socialist Youth Association launched a leaflet campaign in Gaul today. The leaflets were distributed with the aim of creating unity and promoting cooperation amongst ethnicities. Well, here's a story that's making headlines globally. It has been over 200 days since 3 staff members of Al Jazeera have been detained in Egypt. Al Jazeera's Peter Grest, Bahar Mohammed and Mohammed Fahmy have been held in an Egyptian jail since December 29, 2013, was sentenced to jail on the 23rd of June.
Grest and Fahmy was sentenced to 7 years in prison, while Bahar Mohammed was sentenced to an additional 3 years. Al Jazeera affirms that its employees were wrongfully convicted and are innocent. Greste, Fahmy and Mohammed were arrested in December in Cairo as they covered the aftermath of the army's removal of Mohammed Morsi from the presidency in July. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, gunshots were fired into Al Jazeera's bureau in the Gaza Strip amid an intensified bombardment campaign on the Palestinian enclave. The shots caused panic among the civilians living in the same building, but no casualties were reported in the incident. The attack came a day after Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman was quoted by local media as saying his country will work to close down Al Jazeera's operations in Israel.
The fruits of development need to be divided equally among all people. The development taking place down Slave Island bears testament to this fact.
The lands and buildings which were built in an ad hoc manner next to the railway station in Slave Island are to be given a new look through the means of a Pakistani investor. The investment totals 15 billion Sri Lankan rupees and the development will take place under several phases.
එතකොට මේකේ තියෙනවා අක්කර 4ක් තියෙනවා. ඒක සමන්විත වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අක්කරයක් අයිති වෙලා දුන් දුම්රිය දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව.
We have 4 acres here. 1 acre belongs to the railway department. There were 28 quarters of the railway department. We are building 40 railway quarters instead of this. There were 120 houses belonging to low income earning families. We will be building houses with an area of 400, 620, 800 or 1000 square feet instead of these houses.
620 800 දක්වා යන
The new houses, which will replace the official residences of the railway department, are to be handed over in October. Meanwhile, persons who will be the owners of the houses that will be completed by July are excited to move in. We are to receive houses from the UDA. These houses are better than what we have now. We are happy about it. We too are observing this the whole time. They are building better houses. We see that they are giving us better houses than what we have now. Those who lost their houses due to the development activities and were compelled to live on rent receive the rent payment from the Pakistani investor and will receive the new houses free of charge. The Pakistani investor is constructing 2 44-story buildings and 1 49-story building. The project will create 348 houses, new cinemas, restaurants and boutiques. The entire project in Slave Island will be completed in 2017 and will also raise the standard of living of the people.
A United Nations study has ranked Sri Lanka in 73rd position out of 187 countries in terms of Human Development Index. The HDI is a measure of assessing long-term progress in 3 basic dimensions of human development, such as a long and healthy life, access to knowledge, and a decent standard of living.
The Human Development Report 2014 was published this morning by the United Nations Development Programme and focuses on 4 human development groups, namely very high human development, medium human development and low human development. Sri Lanka has been positioned in the high human development group with countries like Russia, Malaysia, Thailand and China. Incidentally, Sri Lanka has been ranked above all neighbours in South Asia in the UNDP Human Development Index report. Norway has been placed first in the report, while Australia and Switzerland came in second and third respectively. The report highlights the need for both promoting people's choices and protecting human development achievements and stresses the importance of identifying and addressing persistent vulnerabilities by building resilience and enhancing people's capability to cope with shocks, financial, natural or otherwise.
Minister of Foreign Employment, Promotion and Welfare, Dilam Pereira, says that they will be introducing a pension scheme for overseas employees in the upcoming budget. He stated that officers from his ministry will be holding discussions with the Treasury in this regard.
A media briefing was convened today to bring to light the affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Employment, Promotion and Welfare. We will strongly request that our suggestion be included in the upcoming budget. We brought this matter to the attention of the Treasury and they did a thorough analysis on this. Accordingly, a group including the Secretary of our Ministry will be holding discussions with the Treasury in the coming weeks. We are hoping that this year we will get the opportunity to start a pension scheme for overseas workers, which we have been trying to do for a while. The Minister also announced that it will be able to increase the minimum wage being earned by migrant workers. By 2015, we are aiming to increase the minimum wage of domestic workers and all other jobs that fall under this category to $350. We are targeting 2015 to complete the final steps of this process. We believe that we will be able to accomplish this a couple of months before our target.
The Regional Parliamentarians and Civil Society Representatives Workshop on Alcohol and Tobacco Control commenced in Colombo on the 22nd of this month and will conclude tomorrow. The event is organized by the Alcohol and Drug Information Center, or ADIC, and IOGT International with the support of the Sri Lankan Ministry of Health.
The events saw the participation of parliamentarians and civil society members from Sri Lanka and 6 other countries, namely Thailand, Malaysia, Mongolia, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam.
Even though I feel the tobaccos and other companies advertising in the electronic media, today the social media thing, if everybody have a vision and the mission to overcome this, I don't personally feel it's a difficult task. Because if we have now in this room around about 25 people, if 25 people start this, it's big.
I'm happy because our government is very committed, at least to control tobacco, alcohol and drugs. And the government also has strengthened the police force. They have established different units in the police. And as parliamentarians, I think we can be role models. And also in our constituencies, if we sort of give them the message that we will not support activities, I think we should be able to get the message across.
An event to mark the third cycle of the Jeffrey Bauer Award for Excellence in Architecture for the year 2013 and 2014 was held yesterday. The event was organized by the Jeffrey Bauer Trust together with the Lunuganga Trust.
The Jeffrey Bauer Award is a national award scheme to recognize and award outstanding contributions to contemporary architecture in Sri Lanka.
The award recognizes and encourages building concepts that are sensitive and alive to standards of contemporary design across urban and rural environments. Over the years, the entries received by the Jeffrey Bauer Trust attest to the outstanding architectural activity on the island, and this year's entries are no exception. The selection process seeks to reward projects that respond with creative insight to a brief and encourages outstanding sustainable landscape and planning practices within the context of the physical needs of the site, which is a hallmark of Jeffrey Bauer's architecture.
The event was organized in line with the 95th birthday anniversary of the great architect Jeffrey Bauer.
Yet another flight disaster. An Air Algeria flight carrying 110 passengers and 6 crew members has crashed reportedly in Niger after having disappeared from radar early between Burkina Faso and Algeria. Initial reports of the crash were confirmed by Algerian aviation authorities.
While details of the whereabouts of the plane remain unclear, early reports from the CCTV network and Algerian TV suggested that it went down in Niger. Meanwhile, a plane has crashed in Taiwan while trying to make an emergency landing, killing 48 people yesterday.
The Trans-Asia Airways flight crashed while trying to land on an island off typhoon-hit Taiwan. Local media reports say the domestic flight smashed into 2 houses after an aborted landing. Authorities say TransAsia Airways flight GE222 crashed near the Magong airport on the outlying Pengu Island, also known as the Pescadores. Now, Newsfirst is in hold of footage of a plane crash. Some may find the following footage distressing. Athletics season, and little known fact, I used to be a fledgling athlete myself back in my youth, but yes, that's right, it is the Commonwealth Games 2014 in Glasgow.
Well, it's a pity, Madhushka, that you didn't really go the next level and, be able to compete in the Glasgow Commonwealth Games.
I'll be on the TV in a whole different context.
Well, the latest coming up from the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow is that the Sri Lanka women's table tennis team unfortunately lost their match against the Singapore table tennis team 3-0. So that's a bad start for Sri Lanka as the Commonwealth Games gets underway in Glasgow. We're now joined with Newsfirst Sandharu Ferdinando, who is at the Stein Studios with more on the Commonwealth Games.
We're at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana, where the champion network MTV and NBC brings you the live footage from Glasgow 2014, where the 20th Commonwealth Games is underway. Furry bundles of joy stole the show as the 20th Commonwealth Games burst into life with an opening ceremony proudly celebrating everything that makes Glasgow and Scotland unique. Each of the competing 71 nations and territories was held into Celtic Park, whilst a Scottish terrier wearing a tartan coat embezzled with the country's name on it.
It's very hot, it's very unusual. But
the Commonwealth Games is second only to the Olympics. Thousands of athletes from 71 nations and territories took part in the opening ceremony, with a 40,000 strong crowd in Glasgow's Celtic Park cheering for them, and with millions more expected to watch on television.
My desire, be the man who goes along.
Glasgow 2014 organisers sensibly made no attempt to emulate Danny Boyle's massive production which kicked off the 2012 London Olympics. After all, the former Empire Games is a very different affair to the five-ring circus. A cast of 2,000 were entertaining the crowd, depicting the history and cultural richness of Scotland. Adventurer Mark Beaumont landed on the city's River Clyde in a seaplane carrying the baton to Celtic Park, having tracked its progress across the Commonwealth on a 288-day journey spanning almost 120,000 miles. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II then spoke of the shared ideals and ambitions of the Commonwealth and highlighted the bonds that unite the 71 nations and territories. Events inside the stadium were shown to the assembled guests and crowd on Europe's largest LED screen. The giant display, which stands across the whole of the stadium's south stand, is almost 100 meters long, 11 meters high and weighs 38 tons. This is the third time that Scotland is hosting the Games and is a first for Glasgow.
In squash, table tennis and weightlifting today. Back to you from the newsroom. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sandharu. Well, moving on to some cricket news now. An unbeaten century by Mahela Jayawardene edged Sri Lanka ahead of South Africa today at stumps. Sri Lanka won 305 for 5 on day one of the second and final test. The game is, of course, taking place at the SSC grounds in Colombo.
Now, winning the toss and batting first, Sri Lanka lost Upul Tharanga cheaply as he was undone by Dale Steyn for 11 runs.
Out. Got him.
Kumar Sangakkara returned to the pavilion without troubling the scorers in a very deft delivery, giving South Africa the upper hand. Kaushal Silva chipped in with 44 runs, while skipper Angelo Matthews scored 63 before he was dismissed.
Applause all his home ground.
However, today's highlight was Mahela Jayawardene recording his 34th Test 100 and ending the day unbeaten on 140. At stumps today, Sri Lanka were 305 for the loss of 5 wickets.
Form, I should say, to 1650 and 100 time.
Now, before we wrap up the news tonight, Ukraine's parliament erupted into a brawl yesterday after a decision to send more reserve soldiers to battle separatists near the Russian border was approved.
Well, that's right. Nationalist and pro-Russian lawmakers were seen swinging at and wrestling one another in scenes more fitting of a barroom brawl than a debating chamber. Now, news that we broke just a little while on the news is related to this, where Prime Minister of Ukraine, a pro-Western technocrat who has guided the Ukrainian government through the tumultuous months since the ouster of President Viktor F. Yanukovych resigned abruptly today after the governing coalition of parliament collapsed. We leave you with these footage from the Ukrainian parliament. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya. Good night.